Welcome to a special episode of Frequency Matters. I'm Gary LaRue of Microwave Journal. Today we have a few minutes with George Holmes, the CEO of Resonant. George, thanks for spending time with us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gary.
So Resonant has a unique approach to the market for high-performance acoustic filters, and I always struggle to try to describe it succinctly. How would you describe it in your elevator speech?
You know, the cliff notes on what we do for a living is we are a software company that has a very nice patent portfolio. We take those two things and put them together, and we do designs for our customers, and we license them to them on a per unit royalty basis. And in many cases, we get prepaid royalties. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we're an IP company, and we're licensing our technology to others and allowing them to take it into the market.
So you have developed a resonant structure for BAW filters that you call XBAR, and obviously there's IP associated with that, but it's also a real technology. How would you say XBAR is different than other BAW filters, and what are its advantages?
Yeah, I mean, the real thing is we had the real opportunity 2 years ago to take a look at the market and what the market was doing. And as you really truly understood what was happening in 5G and the applications demands for high bandwidth and high frequency, we looked at what the current state of the art in the technology was for BAW structures. All the manufacturers are using some version of aluminum nitride to satisfy the requirements for these applications, and that was a great solution for 4G, the sub 3 gigahertz segment of the marketplace. However, as you get into higher frequencies, the challenge with aluminum nitride is it is natively about 4.5% bandwidth, and the requirements for 5G kind of start at 10% and then go up as high as 30% for some of the new Wi-Fi 6E and diplexer solutions for Wi-Fi in the 5 and 6 gigahertz range. So we had to sit back and look at what the market was going to require and take a clean sheet of paper. And because we are a licensing company and we don't have our own foundry, we have the nice opportunity. We don't have any legacy requirements that drive us down a certain path. And so as we sat back and looked at the different potential substrates that we could use to leverage for this application set, we had an opportunity to look at some of the new engineered structures coming out and the new lithium niobate based wafers that we were able to leverage. And those gave us, a nice and nifty new solution for this application set. And while we do build a bulk acoustic structure, we're able to leverage typical surface acoustic wave manufacturing processes. So instead of a 12 to 14 layer device that ultimately gets built on an aluminum nitride substrate, we are building a 4 to 5 layer device on a lithium niobate structure. Much simpler from a manufacturing perspective, much lower cost. And in this case, we get this high frequency, solution with really wide bandwidth that has great rejection and great power handling capability. So right place, right time, taking advantage of the right opportunities. And we just happen to be a software company as well that has this multi-physics, three-dimensional software tool that allows us to actually take advantage of these things. So puts us in a pretty unique spot, and we feel pretty lucky that we were able to take advantage of it.
And so you have basically foundry partners that'll run that process for you or for your customers.
Yeah, and so what we did, a little bit different than in the early days of the company, we actually went out and built these parts ourselves, and we leveraged the foundry partners we developed in our legacy business. And these foundry partners were able to prove out that we could actually build these structures repeatably and reliably and deliver this kind of performance. But ultimately, as our customers are the top 7 IDMs on the planet, and our largest customer being the largest of which, with over 35% market share, we leverage their capabilities. So we basically characterize their foundry capabilities in our software tool, and then design using the structures we've developed against their process capabilities with these new substrates. And so you get a 1 + 1 = more than 2 from a performance standpoint. Some folks that are better on the manufacturing side might have a little bit different solution than those that might be a little bit more cowboyish in their approach to the market. But at the end of the day, that's how they differentiate. We work with them and leverage their inherent capabilities and what they do well, and help them take those solutions based on our IP into the market.
So that brings up my next question. You mentioned being a software company. You recently announced a finite element modeling platform for designing filters, which you call WaveX. And this is, as I understand it, the way that you enable designers to be successful designing into XBAR. So talk a little bit about the capabilities of WaveX.
Okay, so WaveX is the kind of the latest generation of software tools coming out of our development team. If you go back to when the company and its founders were at superconductor technology, they had started developing a software platform that ultimately, when they spun the technology out and started Resonant, they called Infinite Synthesized Networks. And that was our ISN platform. When it was originally developed, it was a single dimensional tool, finite element modeling tool, but a single dimensional tool. Still better than using COMSOL or the acoustic wave ladder to do filter design iteratively. But as we increased our capabilities from SAW to SAW and TC SAW, and ultimately saw our pathway into BAW, we knew we were going to have to increase the capabilities of this solution. So we not only went to two-dimensional modeling, but we most recently went to three-dimensional modeling, basically ported the solution off our own internal server solutions and pushed it out onto the cloud. And now, we utilize both the big guys, Azure and AWS, and the capabilities there for scale. And we could use hundreds of different processing platforms coupled together to give us the kind of processing capability that we need to do these 3D models of very complex RF filters. And what this tool allows us to do is do everything we do in simulation. Once we've characterized the foundry it's going to, we can provide simulated results to our customers before we even think about, running the first wafer through the fab. And what makes us different is even the best of the best big IDMs have an iterative design process. They typically have in-house homegrown tools, all based on the acoustic wave ladder and COMSOL, and which are tools that have been around for the last 20 years. And they do things iteratively. They do lots of turns through their internal foundry to get a design to meet specification. We don't have to do that. Typically, designs from us get into sample readiness in 1 to 2 turns.
Impressive. So you've clearly been having some success. I saw in your recent earnings release, you're ramping shipments of RF filters, basically where you have the IP, with something like 17.5 million that were designed using WaveX during just the second quarter, April through June. And then cumulatively, I believe your customers, you said, have shipped more than 79 million filters based on your designs. Looking at your financial results, your operating expenses are exceeding your revenue. Clearly, you're continuing to invest in the company. Where would you say you are overall in your business plan?
Yeah, I'd say we're right on track to where we expected to be at this point in time. I mean, I've been here since 2016. When I joined the company, we had 800,000 in cash. We didn't have any customers. We really had never done a design, but we had some good ideas. Since that point in time, we've grown the platform such that, when we were doing full custom designs in the sub 3 gigahertz space, had over 12 customers, over 80 designs under contract. Those are the ones that you're seeing ramp into production today. And yes, while unit volumes are continuing to grow, that is more of a validation of the capability that we can design filters, drop them onto somebody else's fab, and then they build them and go sell them. 79 million units seems like a big number. In the grand scheme of things in the filter market, it's a relatively small number. So it's more of a validation from our standpoint, but it also gives us a roadmap of future customers for our XBAR technology. And the real thing for us on XBAR is because of the power of the IP we have and the performance of these devices that we've demonstrated, and the fact that we've proven that they can be built and that the largest filter manufacturer has actually validated that, it really puts us in a good spot to be in a position where we don't have to bet on the come like most royalty-based businesses do. We're able to actually charge prepaid royalties, which is what our current contracts are based upon.
Right.
And so now we're less concerned about unit volumes as we are the number of deals that we've signed. And today we've got 4 devices currently under contract at 2.25 million per device. And we're looking to expand that to up to 12 devices concurrently so that we can cash flow this business, but there's line of sight to that. And then expanding with new customers with other devices in the non-mobile space immediately and converting them into mobile customers after the exclusivity with Murata subsides in March of next year. So we're in a great space. We're really excited about the opportunities we have, not only today to continue to deliver against our contracts with our customer that is way ahead of schedule, and now be in a position to kind of expand the contract with them and then go after new customers. The nice thing about the technology is when it comes to legacy technologies, they're just really, really challenged in this high frequency space. As our customers come into the market, I think it's going to be low-hanging fruit for them to go take sockets because of the performance. And, from a go-forward standpoint, we have a great roadmap between, 3 gigahertz and 12 gigahertz, which is where the market's going to live for the next 20 years. And there's not a lot of other solutions out there, like none. So, aluminum nitride BAW kind of taps out at 6 gigahertz. From anything between 3 and 6, they have to do some really heavy lifting to make that work. Scandium doping, sub-banding, adding additional components, solving the problems of performance in the module. That is all more cost, reduced reliability, and more importantly, greater cost to the infrastructure and the network, because now you have to have more base stations or more routers to actually deliver the same kind of bandwidth to the consumer. Because as consumers, all we care about, for the most part, you think about you and I going to get on an airplane. I want to download my movie as I'm standing in line to get on the plane. I don't want to be, walking to the airport hoping I'm connected to Wi-Fi and hoping over the course of the next 30 minutes I can get that, latest and greatest James Bond flick or whatever it is you're into. Right. You want to be 20 seconds, have a download of a high def movie. And that only happens with wide pipes delivered with 5G and Wi-Fi 6E.
Well, certainly it's a hot market with, as you say, 5G and Wi-Fi going into 6 gigahertz and people talking about Wi-Fi 7 after that. So, and you have a really interesting and unique approach to the market. I think a number of years ago, there was a book that called these kinds of strategies, blue ocean strategies. It seems like that fits the approach to the market that you're taking. And obviously you're having some success with that. So we appreciate your time, the update on the business, and we wish you and Resonant a lot of continued success.
Thank you very much. And thanks for taking the time today.